Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis, and this is for trading on March the 20th, 2020. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. All right, as usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. My computer is slow today. Okay. Please bear with me as we do this. While we are waiting, just something that overall what's going on in the market. So we had Bank of England announce stimulus this week. And then we also have ECB. Actually, today ECB came out and they announced stimulus. Actually, Bank of England was today. They cut the interest rate. That was an emergency meeting that they had called. They cut the rate by 15 basis points. So right now it's at 0.10, and they also introduced a huge stimulus package, and as a result of that we saw British pound go up quite a bit today. And we have seen that overall US dollar has still been the one that has been benefiting from all of this. So there is a shortage of US dollars, and even though Fed has announced more swap lines, even then, we are seeing that US dollar just keeps on going up because of the big demand for US dollars. So in terms of our news here, or what's coming up in the calendar, Swiss National Bank actually did not cut rate. They're already in the negative here. And then we had Fed announcement actually. So Fed said that they're providing more stimulus to the market. They're ready to support the market and all of that. And then President Trump actually announced that there are some vaccines that are being tested right now that could help with the virus. But overall, though, not a whole lot. The data that came out was below expectations, as was expected. And then coming up on Friday, not a ton of news here. We have core retail sales numbers here for Canada. So Canadian dollar has been taking a hit, although today it was good because oil went up, and as a result of that, Canadian dollar did better than it has done in a long time. And now we have coming up here, so the core retail sales, if this number comes in below expectations, we are likely to see Canadian dollar drop again, so we'll have to keep an eye on this. And also in Italy, we are now seeing that the number of coronavirus cases have actually exceeded the number that we saw in China. So right now we are seeing that coronavirus is really becoming a big problem in the Eurozone, and as a result of that we have seen euro drop as well. So let's go on to the charts here. As we can see, a huge drop in euro, and a lot of it has to do with the coronavirus cases that we are seeing. Basically, in the Eurozone, we have Italy, Spain, UK is going through a lot of problems in terms of the virus and new cases that are being found out. So as a result of that, overall, euro is taking a hit right now. We were looking for a drop. It has gone through our target here. Now it still looks bearish here, so I will look for a further drop here. And now we are going into levels that we haven't seen for quite some time here. The next target here, so we are already into 1.0650. So we could go all the way into 1.0580 here. And then if it continues below that, we could see price go into 1.05. So bias here is bearish for euro dollar. Pound dollar here, this one we saw that price went up as a result of the announcement from Bank of England providing more stimulus to the economy and then cutting the interest rate, which caused the equity markets to do well. But then we saw things reverse, and we have a big pin bar in terms of our candle close for the day, and now we are into these levels that we haven't seen in 35 years. So bias here is still bearish. The first target would be 1.1420, and then below that I would look for 1.1320. Those are the two targets to the downside. Bias is bearish for pound dollar. Aussie dollar here, this one went in both directions. So we saw commodities do well today. Copper did well, oil did well, and as a result, commodity currencies did well as well. There was a big drop, but then it pulled back here. So right now we have a big indecision candle here. So this one could go in either direction. But if we see that the equity markets are still problematic, I would expect Aussie to go back down here. So in terms of the pullback, we could see a pullback into 0.5800 or 0.5850 here, and then I will look for a further drop here. So the bias is bearish still, and then we could see something like this. So watch out for that for Aussie dollar. Now, if price does not break the low, then I will look for it to go back up here. New Zealand dollar, this one also moved in both directions, a big move in both of the directions here. So right now, bias is bearish. We are seeing price pull into 0.5700. Now, it could pull higher into 0.5750. And then I will look for a drop, and the target would be 0.5470. So bearish bias here for New Zealand dollar as well. Dollar CAD here, as we saw, price was going up, and then it has dropped because oil did well today. So here we see two pins to the top here, which means we could see a reversal. So watch out for that. I will look for a potential retest and then a drop here for dollar CAD. Now, should oil reverse directions again, then we could see Canadian dollar drop again, which means dollar CAD could go back up. So right now, I would say we could see a drop here. Target would be 1.4280, but we would have to be careful, because if US dollar gets strong across the board, this is likely to go higher then. Okay, next, let's take a look at our commodities here. We see that price hasn't broken the low here in the silver, which means we could see a turnaround here. So at this point, bias is still neutral. It hasn't really given us a good trending or a strong candle for the day. So my bias is neutral. What I'm looking for is, if price holds above our support at 11.55, I will look for a move into 12.53, and then if it goes through that, then potentially into 13.20. But right now we don't have a completely bullish candle, so I would be careful with this one. But I am looking for a bit of a move higher into 12.53. Gold here, gold did drop today, and now it is pulling higher. So at this point, still looking bearish here. So I will look for a move into 1485, and then if it holds below that, we could see another move to the downside. So something like this, and target would be 1450 here. So bearish bias for gold. Oil here, oil has done well. We do have a bullish candle close, even though it backed off of the high here, but it looks like it could go higher. So the first target is 28.40 and then 30.80. So looking for a bit of a move higher here. And actually, in terms of oil, we did hear comments that the US was going to step in into the price war that's going on currently between Russia and Saudi Arabia, because oil prices have been dropping drastically, and US dollar, of course, or US gets impacted because of oil prices, as US is also a producer of oil. So there were those rumors, and as a result of that, we have seen oil go up, but we'll see how much this move is willing to continue. But for now, I am looking for a move into 28.40 and then 30.80 potentially. So bit of a move, so bullish here for oil. Copper here, this one, big drop here in copper, but then price pulled back. And this is where we saw Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar pull back as well. So right now we have a large rejection here. So price could go into 2.51. So I will look for a pullback into 2.15. And then if it holds below, then I will look for a further move to the downside. So for now, I am neutral on this. I'm not quite bullish here, even though we have a large pin to the downside. I'm not quite bullish yet, looking for a neutral move. So looking for a pullback into the high of today's candle and then a drop for copper. Bitcoin here, Bitcoin had a nice move to the upside here, and now price is into an important support resistance level. So this one looks bullish, but the problem is it is into strong resistance. So at this point, I will look for a potential pullback into 6,000, and then if it holds above, we could see it go higher. So at this point, bias is bullish, but with caution. If it doesn't go through 64.50, then this one could go back down. So then this is just a pullback for a further move to the downside. So this area, 64.50 is critical for Bitcoin. S&P 500 here, this one moved down, but as we saw, prices actually moved back up. So right now, we see that price hasn't been able to break the support level yet. So even though we did have a lower high, we didn't have a lower low here. So overall bias is still bearish, but I would be careful with this one because price is starting to our price is looking like it may be settling here, which means we could see reversals. So at this point, I'm looking for a retest of 2280, and if it holds above, I will look for a move back into 2280, and then looking for a move into 2480. So bias is bearish for now, but watch out for that turnaround in the bottom there. And then Nasdaq here, this one actually is neutral. Price went in both directions. It didn't quite break yesterday's low, pulled back up. And right now this is looking neutral. So I will look for a retest of both directions. So we could see price pull back up into 7,500, and if it holds below, then I will look for a move to the downside. But same thing here, if price goes lower and doesn't break the support, chances are this will go higher. So watch out for that. For now though, bias is neutral for Nasdaq. Dow Jones here, this one as well, we see that price dropped and then it came back up. So we do have lower high, but not quite the lower low. So price may again be settling here, which means we could see turnarounds. So at this point, I will look for a retest of the low. If price holds above 18,920, then I will look for price to go back up. So right now, my bias is more to neutral to bearish for Dow Jones. And then we have DAX here. DAX has been trading in the range for last few days here. So I would look for, again, a retest of the low. If it holds above, then chances are it will go higher. So it looks like all our indices are starting to become range bound here, which means we could see a further move to the upside. And if our stock market goes up, which means our yen crosses are likely to go up as well. So right now I'm looking for a range bound move. We could see price do one of these and potentially higher into 56.20. So looking for a potential pullback into 48.30 level and then a further move to the upside. So neutral bias for FTSE as well. And lastly, we have our Nikkei here. Same thing for Nikkei as well. We have seen price go in both directions here, but it hasn't really It hasn't really given us a strong signal in either direction, but price seems to be settling here. So what I'm looking for here is a retest of, potentially the retest of the low here, and if it holds above, we're likely to see a further move to the upside, potentially into 18,000 and then 18,500 level. So for now though, bias is neutral for Nikkei. So that's it for today. Have a wonderful trading day, and I'll see you for the weekly analysis on Sunday. Bye for now.